Hi guys, so today we're going to be doing CHING number 74. So let's just get started where I left off last. This one does have a lot of really good CHINGs in it, so I'm excited for this one, so I hope you guys enjoy it. The first thing that I have is a Department 56 ornament. This was a Halloween ornament of a little bat figure that sold for $25.99. So I still am selling all of those Halloween ornaments, but I do still have quite a few left. Next was a set of 2 vintage Aladdin pillowcases. I picked these up at a rummage sale, fill-a-bag rummage sale, and I listed them as the pair, and they sold for $19.99. Next item was a vintage Avon perfume. This was in the scent Timeless. That sold for $14.99, and that probably came from a random tray lot from an auction. Next item was a Bath & Body Works set. This fragrance, this scent here, is a harder to find fragrance. This was the Happy Vibes scent. This was a Bath & Body Works Happy Vibes body spray and lotion. I listed them together as a set. These did come originally from a yard sale, and those sold for $69.99. So it's definitely a fragrance to look out for, but you just never know kind of when, because Bath & Body Works sometimes brings back fragrances. So obviously if they were to bring back that fragrance, it's not going to be as, you know, desirable as far as resale goes. Next we have a vintage My Little Pony Alligator Floaty. So this would have gone to one of the Sea Ponies, the vintage My Little Pony Sea Ponies. I picked this up at a yard sale. Unfortunately, it was like the only thing that I saw. I didn't see the pony or any other accessories, just this one little floaty. They charged me $0.25 for it, and I sold that for $17.99. So a lot of collectors out there, you know, to complete their collection, sometimes they only need like that one certain piece. So some of the times that kind of thing can be valuable, and I definitely feel like, as far as My Little Pony goes, I feel like the Sea Ponies were, you know, a more harder to find pony. Maybe they weren't as popular back in the day as the regular ponies, so that might be why like their accessories sell for more. Next we have a vintage sweater clip. This was made out of actual mink fur. I picked this up at a yard sale. I think they charged me $0.25 or 50 cents for it. It was still in its original packaging, very cute. It was shaped like a poodle, and that sold for $25.99. Next we have a set of Gathered Traditions dolls. These were like sailor looking dolls, had kind of like a patriotic vibe to them with the red, white, and blue. I got these at a yard sale. I feel like I paid maybe $10 or $15 for the pair, and those sold for $49.99. Next item I have were a set of 2 books. The one was called Where Did I Come From? And the other one was called What's Happening to Me. So these were like books on puberty, basically, for kids. And they came from a box lot of books that I had won at the auction, and those sold for $14.99. I actually have the VHS tape to the What's Happening to Me book, and that hasn't sold yet, but it does have a lot of watchers. So next I have a Le Creuset enamel cast iron pan. Eric and I picked this up at a yard sale. I think we paid about $15 to $20 for it, and that sold for $53.99. Next was another cast iron item. This was a cast iron Cupid chocolate mold. Eric and I won a bunch of these at an auction, and we sold every single one that we had purchased, and this one sold for $99.99. Next we have a purse. This was a Kate Spade black leather purse that sold for $69.99, and I picked that up at a yard sale, and I think I paid about $10 for it. I sold a set of vintage Lisa Frank Halloween stencils. I got these at a yard sale, and I think she charged me $1 for the baggie of them, and those sold for $12.99. Next item came from an auction. This was an RC kind of toy. It was called the Aviva Fishing Buddy. So basically it was like an RC boat, and you could attach a fishing lure to the bottom of it, so it kind of like helped you catch fish type of thing. So kind of a novelty type of toy. That sold for $59.99. I sold a die-cast bubblegum Penjoy truck. I don't normally pick up these die-cast trucks. I know around my area there's always a lot of Windross trucks. I don't normally pick these up, but I was drawn to this one because it was pink and I liked the advertising aspect of it. So I won that at an auction and I sold it for $55.99. So I definitely think I'm going to keep my eye out more on those types of die-cast metal trucks. Next we have an Old World Christmas blown glass Halloween ornament of a Wicked Witch. I got this at a yard sale. I'm pretty sure I only paid 50 cents for it, and that sold for $49.99. So one time Eric and I went to the auction, and it was like someone's whole collection of Jack Daniel's just advertising type pieces. And we won a bunch of these items, and we've already made our money back and have been profiting so incredibly great off of these Jack Daniel's items that we won. I would say the vast majority of the Jack Daniel's items that were purchased from us went overseas, specifically to Germany. So I definitely feel like there are a lot of German collectors out there looking for Jack Daniel's items. So, you know, you guys know I love GSP. I love being able to ship my items, you know, outside of the country. It just opens up the doors for, you know, more sales, higher sales, that type of thing. So like, I definitely feel like that helped us with being able to sell these pieces at a really good price, because a lot of the buyers were outside of the country because they're not able to get those items, you know, where they live. So I do have a couple of those Jack Daniel's items in this cha-ching. So the first one was a set of Jack Daniel's barrel bookends. Those sold for $149.99. Next we have a glass candy jar. This thing was so cool. It kind of looked like a circus tent. This came on a box, like a box lot tray of just some glassware that I won at an auction, and that sold for $35.99. I sold a Coach large black leather diaper bag. This thing was pretty big. I picked this up at a yard sale. I do believe I paid $20 or $25 for it at the yard sale, and that sold for $99.99. So definitely, I feel like every designer type of diaper bag I have found has sold, and has sold for good money. I sold a Kate Spade one before as well. Next we have a Fenton Vaseline glass trinket dish. This glowed really, really pretty under black light. It had a bird on each end of it. I did win this at an auction. That sold for $39.99. Next was a small bottle of Faberge perfume in the scent Babe. This also came from an auction. It was on a tray of other Random Perfumes, and that sold for $39.99. Next item also came from an auction. This was a stained glass looking pumpkin shaped lamp. This was absolutely beautiful. It sold for $89.99. I see these types of lamps a lot, especially at auctions, with that stained glass look in just different shapes. I've seen animals and all kinds of ones that look like this stained glass look. Some of them typically sell for more at the auction than, you know, what I'm willing to spend to resell. But definitely if I would come across these, I'd say a yard sale for like, you know, $5 or something, like I would definitely pick them up, because I do feel like people really do enjoy purchasing these stained glass looking lamps. So if you ever sold one, like with, you know, a certain shape, let me know down in the comments. Next we have another Jack Daniels item. This was a Jack, I keep wanting to say Jack Daniels shot glass that sold for $99.99. I'm telling you guys, like, some of these Jack Daniels items is just insane. Not saying all of them are worth a ton of money, but there are some out there that are definitely valuable, and definitely, you know, collectors are looking for them. Next we have an Indiana glass. These were a set of 6 amber glasses. These had that cubist look to them. I know growing up, my mom had some of these. I actually have some down of hers in my cabinet that I use every day. This was a set of 6 I purchased at a yard sale, and those sold for $38.99. Next we have an Andrea by Sadek Piano Baby. Eric and I have 2 of these. One we still have that hasn't sold. Just been sitting for a very long time, so I was so thankful when this one finally sold. It sold for $55.99. We got these at an auction like a long time ago. Next we have an American Tail. This was a Fivel children's like beach towel or bath towel that sold for $19.99, and I got that at a yard sale with like 2 other vintage towels for $1. Next we have a vintage Cabbage Patch Kids journal diary. This had never been written in. I got this at a yard sale. I'd say I paid maybe 50 cents to $1 for it, and it sold for $12.99. Next item was an Angelina Ballerina Alice Mouse stuffed plush. I got this at a yard sale with some other Angelina Ballerina type items. Some of them have sold, but I still do have some. But this one sold for $19.99. I sold a pack of vintage, never opened Kodak film. This was called the Trim Print film. I won this at an auction. It was a tray of just some vintage, unopened film, and I saw that this film particularly was selling pretty well, so that's why I purchased the tray, and it did. It sold very quickly for $29.99. It was expired. People buy expired film, especially for cameras, you know, the older cameras that you have a hard time finding film for, and I do believe this also went overseas. Next we have a old Dorset 5th Avenue powder compact. I won this at an auction as well. That sold for $12.99. You guys saw I had sold a larger bottle of this cologne in another CHING I had purchased at a yard sale. I purchased this one at a yard sale as well. This one was much smaller. It was a mini 0.5 ounce like travel size of this Avatar cologne, and mini cologne, and it still sold for $69.99. Absolutely insane. I'd say I probably paid about $1/4 for that at the yard sale. Next two items were the same exact item. We had more than one available, and the person who purchased them bought both of them. So these were the Jack Daniel's mini flask collection. So it was like a little wood display shelf, and it had these miniature Jack Daniel's flasks to sit on the top. And a lot of these Jack Daniel's items were brand new, open box. So this person bought both of them, and we listed them at $94.99. So 2 times. Next we have a Department 56 Crinkles Halloween ornament. This one was the Mad Frog Scientist. He sold for $39.99. I sold a pair of women's Torrid jegging jeans for $25.99. I can't say for certain exactly where I got these. Sometimes when I pick up Torrid, it's at yard sales, and sometimes it's at thrift stores. Next we have a Hello Kitty glitter lava lamp. I got this at a yard sale. I'd say I paid maybe $3 or $4 for it, and that sold for $29.99. Next item was a Harley Davidson Zippo lighter. I got this at a yard sale as well. I did pay $5 for it. It wasn't in the best condition. There were scratches on the chrome of the lighter. I kind of thought maybe Eric would just keep it, but he didn't really want it. So I did list that, and it sold for $17.99. And now whenever we see Harley Davidson Zippo lighters at auctions, he's trying to win them for himself. So I think at the time he didn't want it because he didn't have a Harley, but now that he does, he's more interested in, you know, having Harley memorabilia. Next we have a Indiana Glass Stars and Bars fairy lamp. This one was in like a dusky blue color. Definitely a color I don't like ever see, so I think that helped with the price on that. I sold it for $49.99, and that did come from that auction that I went to over this last summer where I had purchased a bunch of fairy lamps. Next we have a Furby Connect. This one was purple, brand new in the box. Eric and I got this at a yard sale. We got 2 of them. There was 2 different colors. This one sold. I still have one more. I feel like I also have a blue one left. This sold for $159.99. So definitely new, still sealed, older toys obviously can sell really well. The next 2 items went to the same person, and these again are those old cast iron, what we call chocolate molds. You know, they also call these ice cream molds. I don't quite know exactly how you'd make ice cream out of them. I would say it's more so for chocolate, but I don't really know how they work. The first one was just a set of squirrels, basically. Those ones sold for $139.99. And then the other one was a frog riding a bicycle, and that one sold for $105.99. Next we have a Little Cheezers figurine. These were made by Gans. This one was like 2 little mice in a car. It was called the Sunday Drive. That sold for $19.99. I had gotten like quite a few of these Little Cheezers figurines at a yard sale one time, and I've sold some, but I still do have some listed and some that I still need to list. Next we have an older Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles wooden like bookends shelf. I picked this up at Goodwill. It definitely looked like something that maybe someone potentially made, but it was really nicely made and definitely cool, especially for anyone who collects Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles items. That did sell for $38.99, and I'd say I paid like $3.99 or $4.99 for it at Goodwill. We also have a Jack Daniel's decanter that sold for $127.50. And then another Jack Daniels item was a pitcher set. It was a glass pitcher. I think it had 2 glasses in it and like a drink stirrer. That sold for $94.87. Next was another Department 56 Crinkles Halloween ornament. This one was of a little witch. That sold for $25.99. Next we have a perfume. This was by Liz Claiborne in the scent Spark Seduction. I got this at a thrift store. I probably paid about $2 for it, and that sold for $39.99. Next item was a plushie. This was of a fox plush. It was by a company called Cuddle and Kind. I had never heard of this brand before. This was the first time I've ever come across a plush by that brand, but it definitely does seem to sell decently. I think I paid maybe $4 or $5 for it at the yard sale. But I remember it was the same yard sale I got that Sony micro cassette recorder that I sold for a lot of money, and I didn't mind paying up for the plush because I knew I was going to make so much on the other thing that I had purchased. But surprisingly, it did sell for $35.99, so that's pretty good price for a plush. Next we have these next 2 items are also plushies, and these went to a subscriber. They went to Tammy. These were vintage Del Monte. They were called Yummkins, and oh my gosh, I fell in love with these things. I love anthropomorphic stuff. The first one, like, I didn't purchase these at the same time. The first one was of a pea pod. I'm pretty sure I got this one at a thrift store, and that sold for $14.99. And then the other one was of a peach, and I think she came from a yard sale, and that sold for $14.99 as well. Next we have another Jack Daniels item. This one was a wooden display shelf that sold for $39.99. So it was like a shelf to put, you know, your collection of shot glasses on it. I sold a set of 4 Care Bears vintage refrigerator magnets for $12.99. Those came from a yard sale, and I probably paid maybe $1 for them. And then the last thing that I have for this cha-ching was a sealed X-Files VHS tape. This came from, I'm pretty sure, a Fill-A-Bag rummage sale. That sold for $9.99. So that is everything for this cha-ching. I really don't have much to talk about within this cha-ching. I don't recall having any issues, no problems with any of the items, no, you know, returns, just no issues whatsoever within these items that sold. As far as eBay goes, I feel like sales have slowed down slightly, you know, since last month, but that's typical with the beginning of a new year. Obviously, I'm trying to list as much as humanly possible and that kind of thing. So I do, like, just last week, Eric had one. I had him, because like, I still, like I say, go to auction previews, and like when he goes to auctions, he'll take pictures of stuff and then send them to me, and then I'll like look stuff up on my end and try and, you know, figure out like what we're interested in and what we're willing to pay for stuff. And there was an auction, and they had pictures up on their website, and I saw this crate of old computer software games for an Apple computer, like it was an Apple II. And I looked up just like the one game, and I was like, holy crap, definitely bid on this crate of computer games, because I definitely felt like there was money to be made in that crate. So he did win the crate of computer games. I think he paid $110 for the crate. But the other day I listed one of the games, and it wasn't even the one that I, you know, thought was going to be the most money involved. Like the one I was seeing, one sold with another game for like $800 some. So this wasn't even a game that I really knew was in the crate or whatnot. And anyway, I listed it the other day. It already has 6 watchers and a bid of $99. So I'm just really anxious to see what kind of money we'll be making off of this crate of vintage computer games. It's definitely something that I don't know a whole lot about. I mean, I purchased vintage computer game software sometimes when I see it, especially if it's sealed. These were not sealed items, but I mean, these are super old, like floppy disks. So like not even like CD-ROM or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just definitely curious, like as far as like the collectors out there who are specifically looking for these types of things. I know like the retro gaming is coming back, and a lot of people are really liking playing games on the computer, like computer gaming and stuff like that. So I'm just really curious to see how that all pans out. So I definitely have more games to list, so I'm excited about that. But other than that, nothing really too much to report about, you know, eBay or anything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this cha-ching. You'll have to let me know what you thought down in the comments. What has been selling for you recently? Maybe let us know, you know, something that you sold recently for a lot of money that you're super proud of. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.